Hi, this is the Obsessed Movie Man. We're doing this again because for whatever reason, it just stopped recording midway through. It might be internet connections. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. Hello, this is Tales from the Projector. I am your host, the Obsessed Movie Man. With us is Billy. Hey, Billy, say hello again.
Good evening, Internet.
And thank you, Robin Williams. And who else is with us? Oh, hey, Shortness.
Yo,
Shortness, Billy, because we're just gonna get into it. Do you guys like Christmas movies?
yes, no.
No.
Do you like
Not,
Batman?
this is the Christmas movie.
Yes, we're talking about Batman Returns. We were originally going to talk about it after Batman 89, but then Val Kilmer had the gall to pass away. I'm going to
Val,
hell for that
shame
joke.
on you.
Yeah, I know. Oh, hold on. Say that again, sir. Say that again.
Val, shame on you.
Yes, that's Billy and I make that joke a lot of Christopher Walken's Max Shrek character. Yup.
Yawn.
Jinx. Um, I know we already discussed it, but Billy, if you could give us a quick recap, how were you introduced to Batman Returns? I know this question's not going to get so tiring.
Well, the summary of it is my grandmother introduced me to it because she had the VHS, but I don't recall which order of the Batman movies from Schumacher to Burton that I saw. But they were all part of my early childhood anyway, so I just remember them as a collective, and I loved every one of them.
And Shortness, the same question to you.
As always, my older brother and my father introduced me to a lot of movies as a kid, and yeah, I agree with Billy. All of them kind of just meld together as these are the Batman movies that I grew up with.
Same for. Oh, sorry, Billy. Go ahead.
No, I was just clear my throat.
Oh, Gesundheit. Um, I know it's a cough. I have no memory of how I was introduced to this movie. I knew that I was scared of it when I saw it, which is funny because I was scared of Batman 89 as well. Well, in one regard, I was scared of Jack Nicholson's Joker. You see, I had a bunk bed as a kid, and I was always on the top bunk, and I was afraid Jack Nicholson's Joker was going to come through the window and kill me. Like I was just going to look out through the window and be like, "Oh, there's a smiling clown man." Um, and to say, and after that, I never slept on the top bunk for the rest of the time I had that bed. But anyway, that's a story for another day. This is a movie that usually gets polarized with a lot of critics and fans. Some see it as a good sequel to Batman, others see it as like a pure Tim Burton film that features Batman, and other people just say it's a bad film. I would argue it's not a bad film.
No, I agree
It's
with that.
just not a particularly good Batman film. It's more of a great Tim Burton film, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yep.
No, no, that's
I
fair.
would. Oh, I agree. It's not a bad film. I've seen bad films, and that's not a bad. It's just overstuffed with a lot of like creativity.
Oh yeah.
It still feels like a common comic book movie come to life with the Batman characters, but it's like when artists or writers take their own version of Batman and do it. So that's what it kind of feels like Burton's doing here. He's taking Batman in his own direction.
It strikes.
Which
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, shortness.
Oh, I was gonna say, which is fair, because when you think of like Tim Burton films, you have a bunch of like very singular films. Not a lot of them do have sequels.
He actually commented on that when I was doing my research. He said he was hesitant to do the sequel because well, wasn't a fan of sequels in general.
Well, there you go.
It's a
So
good call.
this feels more like a Tim Burton film versus a Batman film for that reason.
It
House
really,
of Mouse, take some notes regarding sequels.
yeah, there you go. Our little obligatory shot at Disney. I I don't know. I did review this movie at one point. I think it was like two Christmases ago or three. I don't remember anymore. My memory's flexible. But it seems like a film that or at least when Burton is directing these Batman films, he puts more emphasis on the villains than Batman himself. And I'd argue that's actually a plus because it makes Batman more mysterious. Like when you come out of Batman 89, you mostly think of Jack Nicholson's Joker, maybe Bob. When you think of this film, you think of the Penguin and Catwoman, and to a degree, Christopher Walken. Would you kind of agree with that? That the focus of the villains and less on Batman actually, in a way, adds to Batman's character. Like it makes him more mysterious when you don't focus on him that much.
I
Not
think it does.
fair.
I really think it does, especially when it you can because with villains you can only go so far when you're writing a hero, but villains there's a lot of flexibility, and you don't have to abide by morals. Particularly, you can go any one direction with a villain. For example, Nicholson as the Joker, we all know who he is, the Joker. But he's essentially the mob Joker, and Nicholson does a spot on performance. And in the Batman Returns, you have the sort of morally ambiguous anti-hero Catwoman who breaks from her social norms, but she still yearns for that happily ever after. But she went down her own mad dark path. Then you have, and she, like Penguin, are victims of circumstance due to certain things they couldn't control. Penguin, his deformity, and Catwoman being in a very, well, corrupt city dominated by very shrewd people. Um,
I believe the term you were the evil men of God. I don't know.
well, I mean, the focus is on essentially the capitalist Max Shrek,
Yeah, I
who
know.
is
I just wanted to.
a really, and that also translates in tandem relates to the topic I'm mentioning. How regarding villains, you have the supervillain like Penguin, you have the anti-hero like Catwoman, and then you have Max Shrek, who is just pure, unfiltered capitalism and greed. But he is, and even stated a line from Commissioner Gordon, he's far more slippery than who's thinks Gordon. But he essentially is more effective and slippery at business and doing his shady deals than Grissom ever was.
Yeah, like to get onto Max Shrek for a second. Well, first off, yeah, everyone knows he's named after the actor who played Count Orlok in Nosferatu, the original silent one.
Mhm.
But I love this character so much. He's like the antithesis of Bruce Wayne in many ways, like a corrupt socialite businessman.
Mhm.
But it's
Yep.
also except there's a little bit more flair to Max Shrek, ironically enough. Like if you see what he's wearing, like these striped black and white pinstripe suits basically.
Mhm.
He's out and about throwing gifts at people. I know my mind is scatterbrained on this movie because I didn't rewatch it only because I saw it like a month or two ago already. But I love the scene where Max Shrek is just having the meeting at the he's meeting all of Gotham outside for Christmas, and he just has this impromptu speech like, "I wish I could give you all presents, but I can't. I love this city." Someone take this from me.
He really becomes Miss America.
Yes, that and that's ironic because there is kind of a Miss America in that scene, the Christmas Queen or Christmas.
Oh yes, the what is she? The Snow Princess?
Yeah, the Snow Princess.
The Ice Princess, yeah.
Ice
Oh, that's it.
Princess.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
did you guys mind that they changed the origins of Penguin and Catwoman so drastically, or do you think it works for this film at least? Because with Joker, aside from giving him a backstory, they got his pretty much to a T. But Oswald Cobblepot and Selena Kyle are so drastically different from what we've read in the comics.
Hmm.
Do you think was that a problem for you when you first watched it, or did you not really know about their comic counterparts, or do you think, like me, it just kind of works for this particular film?
I think, well, I didn't know because I'm a kid. Again, I was a kid when I first saw this, so I didn't really know much about Catwoman. But I find that it works for this movie as its own standalone universe, call it the Burton verse, if you will. And it works for Catwoman and Selena Kyle just with her development and how she goes from this meek, mousy, docile secretary to this essentially Frankenstein stitched up anti-hero who wants to bring down the sky but also wants that happily ever after, and she finds a kindred spirit in the tortured soul of Bruce Wayne. And they both, it's interesting how both their identities connect to each other at the same time in different scenarios. And as for Penguin, I found it still works for him naturally. Um, they did hint that they briefly showed he did come from money. He did come from the rich family that tossed him out. So it does stay true to his origins, but for this story, the abandoning him fits for the arc of this character, as it is essentially a standalone movie for the Penguin. So I say it helps him in regard to his destructive character.
What do you think, Short? I want to also add on to what Billy said quickly.
No, go for it.
It's kind of like it's another similarity. A lot of these characters, like Max Shrek, Bruce Wayne, and Penguin, are mirror opposites of each other. Like Bruce Wayne was privileged and grew up with a loving family. Oswald had horrible parents, horrible upbringing, was just tossed aside and abandoned by his horrible parents. So, and then there's Max Shrek, who's just a monster inside and out, but also has the wealth and fame and love of the people. So you could kind of look at all of them as mirror opposites of each other in many ways. But Shortness, back to you about the question I had. Do you think it? Did you know about Catwoman Penguin's comic book origins before seeing this film, or do you think this film just worked? Like, agree with what Billy and I said. They kind of work on their own.
No, I completely agree about that. And I was just going to point out that, yeah, you have essentially the same when it comes to Penguin, Shrek, and Bruce. You have the exact same character that are just taken into different directions based on how they grew up and their morals, which is honestly, I think it makes for a very compelling story versus what we could have gotten, which is just, basic cookie cutter mobsters.
Two Face and
Like,
Riddler, kind of.
yeah. Like there's so much more to it. And I mean to have like canonically Penguin does not have, a deformity, but adding that in kind of just I'm a sucker for a underdog character who is seen as a monster. Adding that
Were
just
you rooting for the Penguin?
I was not rooting for the Penguin, but also my heart broke for the Penguin because if he would have grew up the way like how he should have with his family, within that privilege, would we have gotten essentially another Shrek? Or could we have possibly gotten a more, you know, if his parents were loving, a more Bruce Wayne type character of like, but not having the tragedy of losing one's parents.
They just had to let him hold on to that Tiffany baby rattle with his
Yeah,
shiny
you
flipper.
know, I was watching it recently and I was watching it with my cat, and as soon as the baby takes the cat and pulls it into like the cage, I immediately covered my cat's eyes. I'm like, don't look, you don't need to see this.
Rated R film for the cat.
It really, well, she adores when Miss Kitty comes in with Selena. So going on to Selena, I don't care whatever backstory they give her, I will always root for her.
Like, this is probably one of the harder ones to watch for her. Not because it's bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying she goes through a lot before
She
when she
goes
becomes
through.
Catwoman, but just throughout the whole film, she goes through a lot.
No, I mean, and I understand, like, I think a lot of people kind of like, unfortunately, it falls under that trope of, oh, there's that, awkward nerd, misunderstood person that just kind of is done and flips the switch and is a badass all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Riddler trope we were talking about in the
Yeah,
last episode, I think, or the syndrome or the
yeah.
Electro and all that. But we
But I do find it, sorry, did you want to go, Jack?
oh no, sorry. I actually thought I heard both you guys talk at the same time, so I didn't know who you're talking to.
No, I was just gonna say that I do find it interesting that the entire time of Selena's journey, you do hear her questioning, like, is this the path I want to be going down? Like, why are you doing this?
I believe that's
When,
illustrated very well in
as
the
Billy
last.
says, she wants that happy ending. Like she clearly says that's what she wants. But there's that duality within her that's fighting itself.
It's really illustrated well in the masquerade scene where she and Bruce Wayne are dancing at Shrek's ball, and everyone's wearing masks except her and Bruce. And
Bruce,
they
it's
actually
so good.
and they talk about she doesn't know what she wants anymore, or she doesn't know who she is anymore. And it's a great scene, just the two dancing while discussing their differing ideologies, but also still showing that they care about each other.
Mhm.
Excuse me. But I could tell you some things that I wrote down if you're interested, like some of the things we were supposed to get. Um, like Robin Williams strikes again. He was supposed to be in this film as the Riddler opposite Danny DeVito's Penguin, which is, I believe we said he was lobbying for the Joker in the first film. Um, Also, another thing that was supposed to be in this film was Max Shrek. You might have heard of this one? Max Shrek's character. No, Max Shrek was supposed to be the Penguin's brother, which I think would have been a fascinating addition to this film. Do you think
Would have
this?
been a really good dichotomy, exactly. One who was privileged, the other who was cast out. Both are monsters, one in a literal form, one in a metaphorical form.
It's basically the prodigal son storyline from the Bible.
Yeah,
Yep.
dang.
I actually kind of I do like the film as is, but I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if they kept that in. I think that would have been fairly interesting.
I mean, you can still kind of have that as a head, like a fan canon.
Yeah, I need to
Shortness.
rewrite this. I need to rewrite this story as my fan fiction. I'm gonna.
Have you
I don't know.
seen? Have either of you seen the Penguin? What if Two Face was in Batman Returns by fanscription?
I haven't seen
I've
that one, but
not.
I know it exists. Sorry, Shortness. Go ahead.
I said I have not.
There's your homework for you because you literally just type in Batman Returns Two Face fanscription. It brings in the Harvey Dent played by Billy D. Williams, and it adds in Jack the dichotomy, the plot line of Penguin and Shrek being brothers.
Someone beat me to it. No, no, I know. I might have to check that out. Which is also funny because you mentioned the fanscription did Harvey Dent because he was planned for this film. The first draft of the script was supposed to explore Harvey Dent's transformation to Two Face, with
Yep,
Billy D. Williams reprising a role, but I couldn't figure out why they cut it out. I think it was just there were too many characters
they
because
bought him out of his
Robin was
contract.
oh, because Robin was supposed to appear also.
Yeah, yeah. Warner Brothers bought Billy D. Williams out of his contract, and Two Face was, or Harvey Dent was warped into Max Shrek.
Boo. I mean, I love Christopher Walken as Max Shrek, but I still love Two Face more than any Batman Rogue, and that's disappointing.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Burton did agree to return. We kind of talked about this. Burton agreed to return in exchange for total creative control. And Billy, I think you talked about this on our last episode about Batman Forever. It's kind of a danger when you give a director, even a good director, just total unquestionable control over the project because film is a collaborative art,
Mhm.
and Burton had to work with people to make Batman. But when you see Batman Returns, while a good film, it's no question this has Tim Burton's fingerprints all over it, and it's an extreme because the same thing happened with Schumacher. You were saying, right, Billy, for
Yep.
Batman Robin?
Although Schumacher kind of had his hands, he had control, but he did have his hands tied, particularly for Batman and Robin, because the suits for Batman and Robin kept saying, nope, it has to be focus group chart, advertising toys for kids. It was very by the books and safe, whereas in Batman Forever, he did have more creative control. But Batman Returns, Burton was full out, and that's probably why, okay, we're going to ring the next director on a leash, and Burton is out because this was too dark and we can't make money for kids.
Yeah, those poor people at McDonald's can't make those Happy Meals anymore. Um, were you guys put off by the tone of this film as compared to 89, or do you think it kind of fit in line with the previous
Oh,
film?
it fit 100%. I mean, in '89, what do we get? Joker buzz zapping a guy to literal charred remains.
No hesitation whatsoever from you, sir. Um, what about you, Shortness? Do you think this was tonally the same as the first film, or do you think they upped the ante on the darkness?
Okay, well, I grew up watching horror movies. So to say that this is a dark film, I'm questioning what dark films are.
Well, when I see like darker for like the kids who go to superhero.
Again, I grew
Okay, the layman then. Never mind, you're not the right person to ask this question.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm the
God.
worst person to ask this about.
My, should we talk about our favorite scenes quickly? Like, because I have one that has always made me laugh. I want to hear if you guys have any particularly favorite scenes in this.
Okay.
You go first, Jack.
Okay, I laugh every time, and every time I show this to someone and kind of explain why I laugh, people are just laughing at me laughing at it. It's when Penguin, his plan is foiled, right? About getting all the kids on the choo-choo train. I'm deliberately calling it a choo-choo train.
Yeah.
And it's there. He's back in the little zoo exhibit. There's a spotlight on him, and he's on a stage in his little pajama things in front of an army of penguins with missiles attached to them, rockets. It's literally the Austin Powers scene with freaking sharks with freaking
Sharks with
laser beams
lasers
attached to their heads,
With
and he's
freaking
giving this
laser beams attached to their heads.
he's
It's
giving
so
this
good.
General Patton-esque speech, like, "My fellow penguins, some of you may not survive, but you will blow up Gotham City." Wow, wow. And it's so crazy. The visuals and the speech and like this military music. I'm like, oh my God, Tim, what are you doing? And I laugh at it every single time because it's just so funny. This little dumpy man in his pajamas talking to armed penguins like my brother penguins. That's all I gotta say. I just love that scene so much. Someone take the stage, take it from me.
Darkness.
Um, just scenes that we love or scenes that we find
Your
funny.
favorite scene. What's your
Okay.
favorite scene? If you can pick, or if you can't find a favorite, what's one of your favorites?
Well, I mean, we've already talked a little bit about the masquerade, which is brilliant.
Red or
Um,
happy.
I do love a good masquerade. Um, oh gosh, there's so many.
Do you want
I
to go to Billy and come back to you?
if Billy has one ready.
I actually don't have a favorite scene from that movie because it's so fun to watch.
It really is.
Like, I also love the nose biting scene because
Oh,
because
yes.
it's just so out of nowhere and no one really addresses it again. He's like, it could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood. He bites the guy's nose and everyone's appalled, but then they never bring it up, and somehow this guy gets a career in politics.
I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I mean,
yeah. I also the fact that
we're
Danny
not gonna
DeVito.
go there.
I know we're not, but the fact that Danny DeVito ate a raw fish on camera, like
Oh,
Billy, did you come up with one, or just the whole film? Yeah, you said the whole film.
Yeah.
Speaking of DeVito, would you like to hear some of the other people consider for Penguin?
sure.
Tim Burton wanted, of all people, esteemed actor Marlon Brando to play the Penguin. For those of you who don't know, Marlon Brando is very much famous for The Godfather. As I was it Vito Corleone? Yeah, it's Vito Corleone. Um,
My dear penguins, some of you may die fighting Gotham City, but it'll be worth it.
I'm gonna make the Batman an offer he can't refuse. Warner
Imagine
Brothers.
that going off against Yawn.
Warner Brothers wanted Dustin Hoffman for the role. We were talking about Dustin Hoffman off camera because we were talking about Hook. Maybe we'll do an episode on Hook one day. Other considerations included Robert De Niro and Christopher Lloyd. Billy, insert your "I was a penguin today" joke. But can you see any of these actors as Penguin? Like, if you had to choose one other than Danny DeVito, maybe Robert De Niro.
I was thinking De Niro as well.
I Well, when it comes to Tim Burton, I feel like has you have to really he has a vision,
Yeah.
Yep.
and that vision a lot of people don't see, like, because he's one of the weirdos, which I love him. So I honestly cannot see anybody else like sticking to his vision of what he would need besides Danny DeVito, who is, America's sweetheart.
He is
Yep.
America's, I was gonna say grumpy dad, but
No, he's a sweetheart. How dare.
okay. Yeah. I I think that helps Dan. This is not intentionally an insult, and I don't think it is an insult, but the height and the weirdness of Danny DeVito adds to him playing a good penguin. Like, take the height thing out of it. Everyone always says, "Oh, he'd be a great Wolverine because he's short." We've had tall penguins before, like Gotham. I think just you when you cast people in Tim Burton films, they have to have quirkiness to them already. Like Michael Keaton was quirky in Mr. Mom and definitely Beetlejuice. Jack Nicholson was Jack, and Danny DeVito has this oddness to him already. So that was kind of the perfect.
Yeah, it melds well with Tim Burton's world.
Right. Have you guys seen that image that Tim Burton drew, the little drawing he did of what he wanted his penguin to look like? It's just a little typical Tim Burton sketch
Yes.
of the penguin. I'm like, I could picture him thinking this. I thinking of Danny DeVito when he's drawing that because it kind of looks like him. And I don't mean to insult Danny DeVito. I'm just saying, oh, it has Danny DeVito's eyes a little bit. Maybe his nose. No, not his nose.
I mean,
would love to meet Tim Burton. I wish he would come to one of my cons here at the city. I want to meet Tim Burton.
just to pick his brain would be.
It's like, what's going on? Do you have
What?
that Abby normal brain in your head?
He probably does. Lucky.
Fun fact, actually, that Tim Burton both I share. We both are a big fan of Vincent Price.
Yeah, wasn't Vincent Price? I could be wrong on this, or I could be right. Wasn't the last film he did Edward Scissorhands?
Yep.
Oh,
Which was my first Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
I would love to see Vincent Price in a Batman film, maybe reprising his role as Egghead. That'd be cool. It'd be excellent. I had to throw that in there, but we were talking about Catwoman, but there were a lot the other people. The Catwoman thing is actually more fascinating than the Penguin thing because Annette Bening originally got the role of Catwoman, but dropped out after she got pregnant. Actresses who were interested included Ellen Barkin, Cher, Bridget Fonda, Madonna, Raquel Welch, and more. This is the funny one. Sean Young, who was originally cast as Vicky Vale. Oh, I think Billy already knows where this story is going. I think. She was originally cast as Vicky Vale. She went to Warner Brothers in a homemade Catwoman suit, demanding an audition. Reportedly, Tim Burton hid from her under his desk. I love that
Iconic.
That because this was a really sought out role apparently when this film was in pre-production or when it was being made and they were casting it. I didn't realize how many people were lobbying for this part.
I mean,
It makes sense. Like when you Batman 89 is a big hit and people think of the 66 show and how great Julie Newmar, Eartha Kitt, and Lee Merriweather were. So they were probably thinking, oh, this is going to be a fun role or a big career boost.
I was gonna say, is Catwoman technically like the first villainous character for Batman? Like a female villain?
As far as I know, maybe. I know
So
that
maybe that has to do with why, because it's just so iconic because it's been around forever.
possibly she's the most well known, at least the
Most
thank
well
you,
known.
the most well known female Batman villain.
I mean, in the Batman 66 show, they had her show up and she was quite the foil for Batman himself.
I mean, there's a reason why I adore Bruce and Selena, and I'm not gonna, pretend I don't.
Like they are endgame, at least in my opinion. And I get
I
like
flip and love them.
like me getting mad at Marvel for never letting Peter be with MJ, I'm always annoyed when there's Catwoman, Batman are so close to getting tying the knot together, and then something happens. It frustrates me as a comic book reader.
Oh no, I get that.
But also, I think I would like to ask quickly because I'm trying to think how long we've been going. But I will ask, would you consider this movie a Christmas film?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Now that we covered that, okay.
I'm sorry. It takes place at Christmas. Christmas is said several times.
If we're fine, going
There's
with
a bunch of Christmas gifts. What else do you need?
if we're following
And it's
Die Hard
winter.
rules, if we're
Yeah,
following
there's snow, there's
there's snow,
penguins,
there's Christmas
Christmas
music,
tree.
Christmas tree. The Ice Princess falls on the Christmas tree.
which, sad day.
Sad
Like,
day.
I was gonna say, that's one of the scenes that really, like, shows um Selena's real struggle is like after that happens, and she's like, I thought you were gonna scare the Ice Princess.
Yeah, like she wasn't intending to kill
She
her.
wasn't intending for her to get
Oft.
killed.
Literally oft.
Yeah.
I did like is though Commissioner Gordon's in less scenes in this film. I think you can tell him and Batman are kind of having a working relationship. Like he's talking to Batman at the beginning of the film when the officers try to shoot Batman. He's like, "Hold your fire, hold your fire." What I love the scene when they find the Batarang as evidence for the Ice Princess's disappearance, and he's holding it. He's like, "This is just circumstantial. This doesn't prove anything, but here's the evidence."
Yes.
Um, I think he would have been. I think it's Pat Hingle. I think he would have been a great Commissioner Gordon if they gave him more things to do in these films.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, like
I-
his. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go.
I was just gonna say I like his little bowler hat too.
Unfortunately, they delegated him to the 66 Commissioner Gordon and for future movies.
Yeah, Michael Goff got treated better than Pat Hingle as the films progressed.
Well, you can't go wrong with Alfred. You have to do him right.
You'd
I
have
mean-
to try extra hard to ruin Alfred.
Okay, so the scene before the disastrous lighting ceremony of both Bruce and Selena trying to get out of the manor to get to this damn ceremony, so good. Poor Alfred is just like, I'm stuck in a stupid love fest and I don't know how to get out of it, but okay, great.
I love how they both were making excuses, but they
Yeah.
both left at the same time.
They're both like, don't make them feel like I don't want to be with them because I do, but I have to go. Just be nice about it. I gotta go.
Like
Poor Alfred's like, you guys are idiots, but okay.
he's
Sure.
they're idiots, but Alfred is the matchmaker of Gotham City.
Driving Bruce around town in the middle of the night.
I also gotta say I love the ending. Like it's just
So good.
the ending feels Christmassy too. There's something about like it's snowing. He has the little cat, like it's a
Oh,
present.
Kitty. Oh,
The Miss Kitty, yeah.
he finds Miss Kitty. It's so cute.
You have
Manage it. He takes her home, and it gives a nice sort of hopeful ending. It's bittersweet, but there's some hope there.
She's got one life. She's saving it for next Christmas.
yeah, there you go. And it kind of plays into the Batman 89 comic sequel, the one that they did the comic sequel where they brought in Harvey Dent as Two-Face, but I know the books like Batman Resurrection kind of contradicts anyway. I guess we can end it with more trivia. Hold on. Or the aftermath is what I'll call it.
Okay.
Reception of the film was polarized. The plot received mixed reception. Don't worry, this is going somewhere. Burton prioritizing the film as one of its own creation. Burton prioritizing the film as one of its own creations and not being a Batman film was mentioned. People noted that Batman was mostly ignored, and with an emphasis on the villains, Michelle Pfeiffer received almost unanimous praise for her role as Catwoman. But in recent years, the film is viewed much more positively and is currently at an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. Tomatoes.
As it should be.
Yeah, so I think this is a film where positive word of mouth has kind of changed the perception of it a bit more.
Yep.
Because I remember Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel were just, I guess you could say, appalled, or like most critics were like, "Oh, this movie is. Don't take your kids to this movie because Billy, that's what you think about.
Most unorthodox. Most unorthodox.
Money.
Unless your parents or grandparents are like Shortness and Billy's, clearly.
They're cool.
Yep, but still, I highly enjoyed it, and I really don't care what the
No.
professional critics say, particularly these days, like Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes was beneficial for this one. They were giving it a good review. Rotten Tomatoes was good for this one. Come
Yeah,
on.
back then.
It was.
Would this thing be considered like of its time a cult film?
Of its time, maybe, but now it's kind of
Like now it's
accepted.
not, but of
Now
its
it's not.
time. it
Yeah,
would've
I would
been.
say of its time, it was a cult film, kind of like how
That's so
I
crazy.
guess you could say Hook, even though we consider Hook to be a great film back then, it didn't get the best reviews, but people still liked it. So I think you consider Hook, at least at the time, a cult film.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think we should do Hook one day. That's especially since we have our resident Peter Pan cosplayer in Billy, and a cosplayer in Hook, and a hopeful cosplayer in Tinkerbell with Shortness. But I guess before we head out, final thoughts on Batman Returns. Billy, go. No pressure.
Highly recommended.
Would you recommend it for Christmas?
Oh, absolutely.
Says the guy who can't stand that holiday. Shortness. Another person who can't stand that holiday, but do you recommend Batman Returns, or what do you think? Final thoughts?
If I don't, you know that I have been switched with a doppelganger.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Roll for initiative.
Oh, that was a D&D. That took.
I don't
just
have my
heard
dice.
D&D.
Wait a minute. Give me a minute.
It took me a second. The gears in my head were turning. But you'd recommend it, Shortness?
Oh, absolutely. And yes, watch it for Christmas. It's a great Christmas film.
I don't know. I thought you saw your eyes moving like, oh, it was a great Christmas movie.
No, I'm not joking.
Okay. I still think it is a good movie. I do prefer Batman 89, but there's things about this I really love. I love the wintry tone. I think it's one of the few times you see Batman when it's snowing in live action, at least. And it's a cool. I love the villains. Oddly enough, I think Max Schreck is my favorite villain in the film, and he's not even a comic book character. And Danny Elfman's music still is just the best.
So good.
He nails every score he does is so good.
He does. All right, guys. I think that's it for Batman Returns, which means we did Batman 89, we did Batman Forever, we did Batman Returns, which means we have Batman. Oh crap!
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We're gonna need the whole troop for this one. We'll see whoever we can get. All right. I will plug your socials into the comments as usual, lady and gentleman. So until then, thank you so much. I see the stop button this time, so I know how to stop this thing. So let's stop this thing. Good night, everyone.
Take care.